In this lesson, you'll learn how to estimate percentages better. We use percentage of numbers all the time to find sales tax, discounts, markups. It helps us budget. It's really important to develop a good sense of percentages. And using these percentage of tables will really help you get better at estimating. So the first image that you see with the green and yellow shading kind of describes how it works. So as you move to the right in the chart, you move one decimal to the left, or simply divide the number by 10. The number should be getting smaller as you go to the right. The number should be getting smaller as you go down as well. So as you move down the chart, you're just dividing by 2. So let's see that in action. It'll make more sense. So in example 1, we're going to calculate 15% of 80. And before I do any of that, I want to fill in the chart. So 100% of $80 is going to just straight be $80. Let me zoom in here. And then I like to, doesn't matter if we work right or down first, doesn't matter. I'm going to work down first in this case. So as we go down the chart, you're dividing it by 2. So 80 divided by 2, well, that's just 40. And then if we move down again, we're dividing by 2 again. So if we do 40 divided by 2, that's 20. Perfect. Now as we go to the right, we move the decimal over 1. Now these are all whole numbers, so the decimal is currently right here at the end. You don't need to write them there, but just that's where you need to know that they are. So what we need to do is move that decimal 1 to the left as we go right. So that's going to be $8. I'll put zeros in all these numbers to make it a little bit easier to see. And then we can solve for 5% by either moving it, dividing it by 2 and getting $4, which half of 8 is $4. Or we could have taken that $40 and moved it 1 to the left again, so that's $4. Either way, that works. Now remember, to get the 1%, we need to move that decimal over 1 again. And so that decimal would be here, and that would be 80 cents. Okay, so we haven't figured out 15% yet, but how does this come into play? Well, to get 15%, I'm going to use some of these numbers in here. To get 15, that would be 10% and 5%. Well, I know 10% is $8, and I know 5% is $4. And 10 plus 5% is 15%, and 8 plus 4 is $12. So my answer then, 15% of 80 is equal to $12. All right, let's try another one. Now, as you get better at this, you don't need to fill out the entire table. You just need to do the ones that you need to get to 60%. But for this video, I want us to practice filling out the table for every single question so we get more comfortable with it. So 60% of 42, that's what we're trying to solve for. Okay, well 100% is going to be $42. Now this time I'm going to go right first. So as we go right, we move the decimal over 1. It's going to get smaller. So it was $42. Now it's going to be $4.20. And then 1% is going to be 42 cents. If you notice, the decimal just moved over 1 and moved over 1 again. Each time we went over, I divided it by 10 or moved the decimal 1 left. Now to go down in our chart, we just need to divide by 2. So half of 42, well, that's just going to be $21. Half of $4.20 is going to be $2.10. Notice, to get from 50 to 5, I just moved the decimal place over. So it doesn't matter how you find 5%. You can either divide 10% by 2 or take 50% and move the decimal 1 to the left. Either way works. Now, how do I get 25%? Well, I got to divide this by 2. $21 divided by 2. It's not an even number, so it's not nice, but you can always break that up into 20 plus $1 and divide each of those separately by 2. Well, half of 20 is 10, and half of $1 is 50 cents. So I can take $10 plus 50 cents is $10.50. So anytime you get an odd number and you're dividing by 2, just break it up into parts. It's basically using distribution over division. It's not basically, it is. All right, let's look at another one. Oh, we didn't finish this problem. I still need to find what 60% of 42 is. Well, to do that, I can simply, 60, we want to get to 60%. 60% is just 50% plus 10%. Well, 50% is $21, and 10% is $4.20. I add down. 1 plus 4 is 5, and then bring the 2 down, so I get $25.20. $25.20 is my answer. All right, let's move on to example 3. 95% of 720. Let's figure out what that is. First one's easy. 100% is $720. I'm gonna go to the right first. So for 10% of that would be $72, and 1% would be $7.20. Notice I just moved the decimal over 1 over 1. The numbers keep getting smaller as I go to the right. Okay, now I gotta take half of these numbers. So half of 720. I've got an odd number in there, so I might break it up. So 700 plus 20. Divide those separately by 2 if I want to divide 720 by 2. Half of 700, that's a little bit harder. What you could do is you could break that up into 600 plus 100 and divide those by 2 as well. And I know 20 divided by 2 is 10. 600 divided by 2 is 300. So 300 plus 100 divided by 2 is 50 plus 10. So that'd be 300 plus 50 plus 10, that'd be 360. Now you might have just known that one in your head, and that's fine. I just wanted to give you some tips if it's harder for you to see odd numbers and breaking those in half, because you can definitely use division over distribution. I could do the same thing as before and take half of 72 to get 5%, or that's a little bit harder. I could simply just move the decimal place over. So I get 36.00, because remember, as you move to the right, you're just moving the decimal place over. Alrighty, I'm going to erase this, because we already have that in our table. And I'm going to take, okay, to get 25%, we need to take half of 360. Divide that by 2. So that'd be 300 plus 60. Divide those both by 2. Oh, I still have an odd number. 300 is an odd number, but I can take 60 divided by 2 and get 30. And I can break 300 up into 100 plus 200 and divide both of those by 2. And I get 50 plus 100 plus 30. 50 plus 100 plus 30 is 180. Alrighty. Now, we're not done with our question yet. We still need to find 95%. Alright, 95%. Well, I could add up to 95%, but I think what would be faster would be subtracting 5% from 100%. 100% is $720, and 5% is $36. And if we subtract these, 0, 0. I can't take 6 from 0, so I gotta borrow. 9 minus 6 is 3. I have to borrow from here. 11 minus 6 is, so 11 minus 3 is 8. So that'd be $683. That would be my answer. Alrighty. 20% of $18.50. Okay, $18.50. Let's do the 10, let's move to the right first. So that would be $1.85. And this one, if we move it over one more, we get 0.185. Well, that doesn't make sense because there's an, that goes to thousands place, and money only goes to 2 decimal places, the hundredths place. So we would have to round that. So I would cross this out. This is 5 or more, so we'd round that up to 19 cents. All right, now let's divide these by 2. Half of 18 is 9, and half of 50 is 25. To get 5%, we just move the decimal place over, so that would be 0.925. It's a 5 or more, so I'm going to round up, so that'd make that a 93 cents. And if I divide that by 2 again, I don't really need to do this to solve for 20%. It's a lot of extra work, but I'm going to do it anyways. So 9.25 divided by 2. So that'd be $8 plus $1 plus 20 cents plus 5 cents. Let's divide each of those separately by 2. So half of $8 is $4. Half a dollar is 50 cents. Half of 20 cents is 10 cents. And half of 5 cents. Well, let's switch that up. Let's make that a 4 plus 0.01 and break that up like that. So that'd be 0.02. We put a 0 on there. If I divide that by 2, that's what I get there. I add this all up. I get $4.50 plus 10 cents, 60 cents plus 2 cents, and 5. We round that up because it's 5 or more. So then that would be $4.63. That was a messy one. Once you start doing this more, you'll realize you don't have to do. Now 20% is just 10% plus 10%. 10% is $1.85 plus $1.85. It's going to be 8 plus 8 is 16, so that'd be 17. $3.70. All right, last one. 6% of $8. Oh, and quick thing on here, a lot of times you could round up to the nearest dollar, so you don't have to deal with so many decimals in a lot of situations where you're estimating. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, 6% of $8. Well, 100 would be $8. 50% would be $4. And 25% is $2. I divided by 2 every single time. As we go to the right, we move the decimal over 1, so that'd be 80 cents. And as we move to the right again, we'd move the decimal again 1 to the left, so that'd be 8 cents. To do 5%, we could either divide 80 cents by 2 or move the decimal over 1, but either way, we're going to get 40 cents. Now, to calculate 6%. To get 6%, we would take 5% and add 1%. 5% is 40 cents and 1% is 8 cents. So together, your total would be 48 cents. This is how you calculate sales tax. Another quick way to do this is you could do 1% 6 times, which is basically just doing 6 times whatever 1% is. So 6 times 0.08 is going to be 48 cents. Just another way to think about it. But in the long run, or the main idea of this is using the percent tables is a nice way to organize this information, and it's going to help speed you up with making good estimates of percentages, and it'll help you speed up through this course. All right, that was Taking Percentages video lesson. Remember, as you move to the right in the chart, you move the decimal 1 to the left. As you move down, you divide by 2.